All right, everyone. So please turn to page 300 in your book. We're going to build for understanding. Before we begin with the word problem, though, I want you to, I'm going to scroll down. You're going to look down, further down in your book on page 300, and you're going to notice the connect to vocabulary. And I want you to look at the definitions. So it says a tenth is 1 of 10 equal-sized parts. So just like we were talking about in that last video. A decimal point is a dot that separates the 1 place from the tenths place in a number. And a decimal is a number that has 1 or more digits to the right of a decimal point. Okay, so here is your decimal. Okay. All right, so let's go back up to the top. So you guys look up at your word problem. We're going to be talking about tomatoes today. It says one of the tomatoes from a garden is 1 1/10 pound. So notice this number, 1 1/10. This is what we call a mixed number. I always want to draw right in that light. And a mixed number is talking about the mixing of whole numbers, which the 1 is your whole number, and fractions or decimals, both the same now. So this here is a fraction. It's a mixed number. It's a mixing of whole numbers and fractions. So we have 1 1/10. Let's see what they want us to do with that 1 1/10. It says represent the weight of a tomato on a tenths model and then on the number line. Okay, we can do this. So we have 2 equal boxes here. Notice how many parts they're broken into. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Each one is broken into 10. Well, we can easily represent that 1 in this first box because 1 here is talking about a whole 1. So in this case, we're going to color in this whole box. So take your pencil, color pencil or just your regular pencil, and color in all these parts. Okay, so while you're doing that, I'm going to draw it on my board so I can show you. Okay. And in this case, you're going to just color in that whole box. That second box that's broken into tens, let me draw this out. Okay, so you should have colored in, I'm just going to quickly just do all of them. You should have colored in all of the bars on the first one, and that's representing the 1. We need to represent 1/10 on this side. And so if it's broken into 10 parts, and our numerator is telling us they want us to just color in 1, they're only talking about 1 of the 10 parts, we just need to color in 1 of those bars. Okay, so here we've represented 1 1/10 using the models, the visual models. But they also want us to do and represent it by using a number line. So you have your number line already there in your book. Take a peek at that. In this case, we have only been writing or drawing number lines that have been representing fractions. This one here, we need to represent whole numbers and fractions. So in this case, this is the whole number 1, and from between 0 and 1 are the fractions or the parts of that 1. And then again, here is between 1 and 2, these 2 whole numbers, it's broken into tenths. So we know we're going to be talking about more than the whole 1. So let's look at this number line. We're going to start with the whole number 1. And I just want to show you, just like we usually do, is I typically like to break this number line into the parts we're talking about. So we're going to be breaking it into 10 parts because our denominator is telling us that this is broken into tenths. So here is halfway. And so if this is 1, this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. So this is really representing a whole, and this is your whole. All right, if we need to represent this on the number line 1/10, we've got to find 1/10. So here is your 1 over 10. See, all these little parts in here is making up that whole. So we need to represent 1 and 1/10. Well, here's your whole 1, and we still need to represent still a small piece, as small as it is, we still need to represent it. So we're going to find our 1/10, and we're going to color it in, or mark it on our number line. Okay? This is representing 1 and 1/10. Okay, let's go down a little further. It says, how can you represent 1 and 1/10 on the tenths model? All right, so let's see. What did you do? You shaded 2 whole tenths model. I think we can skip over this because we've already done all this. Let's just skip down. I just wanted to show you real quickly. Let me just see. So it says let's go down to C. It says, how can you represent, so go down all the way down to the very bottom of your page. It says, how can you represent 1 and 1/10 pound using digits and a decimal point? Okay, so remember what we had talked about before. I'm going to erase this so you can see what I'm talking about. So remember we talked about our place value positions, and we said the tenths position is the first position right after the decimal point. So in this case, we have no whole numbers. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We do have a whole number. The whole number is 1. Now, how many tenths are there? Well, go and look at your fraction. It says 1/10. So in this case, you're going to put a 1 right in that light. So a 1 whole and 1/10. And this is what it looks like when you write it in decimal form, 1.1. And in this case, your label is pounds. So 1.1 pounds. If that was a 2, 1 and 2/10, then this number in the tenths position would be a 2, because it was talking about 2 out of the 10. All right, so let's quickly add in, let's see, I'm going to go to the next page real quickly. So turn your page to 301. Yep, so 301. It says the tenths model the tenths models show how many cups of water Tina uses to water a tomato plant. Okay, so look at our visual models. We know this hole is colored in. We know this hole is colored in, but this one is only part. So how can we represent this in, they want us to use, it says, write a sentence that describes the amount of water Tina uses. So a possible answer, let's just go back up to this one here. Tina uses 2 whole cups, and if you counted all of those, that would equal 8 out of the 10. So she uses 2 whole cups and 8/10 of a cup, or 2 8/10 cup to water those plants. So B says, how can you write the amount of water that Tina uses as a mixed number? Okay, so let's look at our options. We don't even need to look at the options, actually. We can figure this out on our own. So we said she has 2 whole cups. So we're going to represent that 2 whole in the ones position. I'll make that place value position for you. And then we need to figure out what the tenths is. Well, there were 8 out of the 10 colored in. So our answer in this case would be 8, 2 8/10 written as a fraction. And as a decimal, it's going to be written as 2.8 cups. Okay, 2.8 cups. Can you see that? As a fraction, it's 2 with an 8 over 10. And with a decimal, it's 2.8 cups. All right, my friends, you need to get working on your HMH and practicing the on your own. Good luck.